for home decorating, all under one roof at Westside Decorating Center. And a good morning to you. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of the Art Lewis Show. Later on after the 10 o'clock news, we'll be talking to Tony Stamas from the Midland Business Alliance. At 11 o'clock, Don Stanley, the owner of Stan's Gold Mine, will be with us to chat about that. But we're going to talk about your money and how to make the most out of it this hour with Mindy McIntosh from McIntosh and Associates. Mindy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art. Thanks for having me this morning.
Sure, thanks for being with us. Let's start, as we do often, for those that may not be familiar with McIntosh and Associates. Give us an overview of the company, what you do.
So probably the best overview to walk through is, our motto here is really that we help good people make great decisions so they can live out an amazing retirement. And I think so many people do a great job. Most of the population all, go to work, have a career, save, some money, save some wealth, putting away contributions, let's say, into a company 401k or 403b plan, maybe even have some health care while they're working through their employer that's covered, and all these kind of HR benefits. Well, where our firm comes in with the Retirement Made Clear with Focus is we're really helping people bridge that gap to and through retirement, whether it's allocation mixtures of contributing to look at the future, creating a solid income plan, and timing out the best strategy for Social Security with the many options there. So creating that firm foundation floor of foundational income, which is different, right? When you go to work every day, that income is going to change to what you saved for. So just kind of even a different philosophy and mind shift of where the money's coming from for expenses, living, travel, and then really tying that together with diversifying their asset portfolio amongst funds and being really tax efficient and tax savvy in that, reducing market, exposure and risk over time, and then really helping people to understand their tax bill and be as savvy and efficient on taxes as possible throughout their retirement years, and incorporating Medicare and healthcare to that wing, delivering which plans that they should have, and rounding it all up with a solid plan for something that's going to benefit them and for more legacies to come in the future as well.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't hear you say one thing, and that was that I should take my surplus income and stuff it under the mattress.
You're absolutely right, Art. All of us need that little bit of a rainy day fund. We have many clients that kind of keep a little something maybe in a safe or off to the side and have some cash. But no, the goal is not to just, put it in the backyard or save it for a much more rainy day ahead.
How do you have clients avoid the roller coaster ride of investing? Markets up one day, down one day, up one day, and people tend to panic.
Yeah, you mean what we've been seeing here over the past while? We take a look to, and when you're younger, you can handle those market shifts more often and watch headline news. You're contributing, you're not using the funds yet. But as you get closer to retirement, or even those of us that want to make sure that we're kind of taking the gains off the table, so to speak, and re-diversifying our asset classes, we've really been talking a lot about this retirement safety shift lately, and why smart money has really been moving. When you take a look at things like AI, NVIDIA, and some of the places that we've looked at segments, millions of Americans are just sitting more now than what we've seen the past few years in cash, CDs, and money market funds, because they are a little bit more cautious and nervous about this market volatility. But the problem with that is interest rates. The same interest rates that had them want to go to cash attractively are likely heading lower. So we need to make sure we're taking a look at money market yields. Also, what happens as the market does continue to be more volatile, and what are retirees, taking a look at dependable income and growth over, the next, let's say, 25 to 30 years. So when we talk about that, historically, interest rates are still relatively attractive. So when we see that, we've seen over, folks have way too much sitting in money markets, as you had talked about this. And so people do feel more safe there, but inflation matters. We know that bonds aren't the spot to go if we want the true safety, but safety of principal is very important. So we want to take a look at income, sequence of returns, and really how are we taking a look at something that has no fees. We're going to see growth. We want to see protection. We even are doing so somewhat in our own portfolio. So we want to make sure that if we can earn, 4 to 7% on a portion of our portfolio and not have the market volatility, why wouldn't we do so? So we're helping to educate clients now more than ever of what should we be doing alternatively. How do we hedge inflation, but look ahead and feel comfortable as we do know that the tides will rise again and we have a lot of volatility coming.
There are a lot of old adages in investing, and one of them used to be market up, bonds down, bonds up, market down. Not true anymore, is it? At least consistently.
Yeah, it's not. And so that's why we like to really do a blend of, instead of using bonds as what folks feel is their more conservative approach in their portfolio, we like to use a variety of ETFs, diversify, and then use a bond alternative. By using a bond alternative, we can look at some non-market correlated. We'll also have a strategy designed with a blend, so then that way we can take a look at upside potential of the market without any downside risk. So we like to make sure that we're helping folks there. So instead of using bonds inside of their portfolio, we do so as an alternative with some indexing to just kind of give them the floor. And then that way we know that they're not going to have some volatility in that portion of their retirement account. We can set it for income. We can look at it for security. We can use that positioning to secure funds that they need in addition to Social Security to pay for health care and some medical expenses. So it really does give them some comfort and peace of mind in their portfolio for that type of diversification instead of, in the past, more of the typical pie chart, so to speak, of the stocks and bonds, which, to us is not the route that we should be managing currently.
Is that the reason for what we see are blended portfolios now that have annuities in them, insurance products, as well as investment products?
You do, yeah. So we sometimes will show folks what we call spend, save, grow philosophy for them. So we're looking at any money that they're looking to spend in the next 10 years that we know that they need outside of Social Security. But we need to create a pension-like income for them. That usually is what's going to be in their predictable income within the annuity. It can be lifetime. They're not going to have any market reductions. That way they can set it with confidence and clarity. And then their save portion can kind of be a combination. Are we looking at, do we need to, we probably don't need to win the ball game anymore, but how do we actually do a alternative non-market correlation? Some folks can do a variety of different accredited investor funds even, and then we have their growth products. So the blend really helps people to much diversify, and that way, too, that income is set without having to use any bonds at all.
All right, hang on. I got to take a break, and we'll be back. We're talking to Mindy McIntosh from McIntosh & Associates in Freeland, and more about investing for retirement when we return.
I finished.
All right, we're back with you. We're talking to Mindy McIntosh from McIntosh & Associates. You can hear Mindy and her husband Nolan Sundays at noon on their Wealth Michigan program here on WSGW. Mindy, I want to continue and finish up talking about annuities for a minute, because I've been asked, and I'm the farthest thing from an expert on financial matters. How can you have an investment vessel or an income vessel that only allows you upside rewards and you cannot lose on the downside? I've been asked by a number of people, how can that possibly happen, and what do I have to sacrifice to get it?
Sure. So that would kind of talk about, we do even have a resource paper on this if anyone wants to reach out on our website or here. It's called The Case for Annuities Now. So most people think of annuities as I'm going to retire. In the past, some folks still have them, but when you retire and you have a pension, that's an annuity. It gives you an income for life. Folks now that are looking for an alternative that are saying, hey, are CD rates enough for retirement? When I'm looking to reduce risk and market risk, what happens if your income falls? Or do you know where your retirement paycheck's going to come from? With an annuity, you kind of get to pick three things when you're looking at investment. Do we want growth? Do we want safety? Do we want liquidity? What are some of our things there outside of taxes? But if we're really just looking at the annuity itself, now there's different types of annuities. There's single premium immediate annuities, which is like a pension. There's indexed annuities, which is what our retirees like for a position of their portfolio here for some individuals, because what it does is that way there's no fee to the client. Their floor is either whatever the fixed rate is that we're looking at the time. So sometimes fixed rates are 4%. Some of them are 8% right now. So what is the fixed rate? Or we can allocate it to things like S&P 500 or the futures index or PIMCO. So the nice thing of being able to allocate it is you participate then with the upside of the market, but you do not have any of the downside risk. So your floor is either wherever you set the fixed rate, or if you just have it indexing, then zero is going to be the least amount that you could make if you just have it allocated. Now, the nice thing is it allows you, as the stock market goes up and it goes down, in years where the market is negative, you're just going to step sideways. You might not go up unless you have a fixed rate, but you certainly won't go down. Helps to leverage the disposition of your funds and create that steady, reliable income. And you're just okay that, if your market accounts are doing 8% on average, let's say, it's all right that your annuity is doing 5 to 6. It's not designed to keep up with your market account. It's leveraged for security. Now, some folks buy a true income annuity that gives them income for life, so it doesn't really pertain to how the market fluctuations are going up and down. They're just going to have a set income for life, and some of those actually index and increase as an increasing income to help hedge inflation. Now, the drawback is if you're just looking for very high returns, then the market is going to do that for you. And if you need all of your funds liquid now, annuities usually have a 5, 7, or 10-year type of timeline. You can take income from them. You can take 10% from free withdrawals, but you're not going to take, if you have $500,000 in an annuity, you're going to take roughly maybe $50,000 a year from that initially. So we need to have, you need to be okay with some limited liquidity, that it's not designed to perform like your market account, but nice things about giving you security, being able to perform better than bank accounts, CD rates, and bond funds, and just kind of creating a well-rounded approach to your portfolio is really how, in our opinion, our folks are liking to use them from a standpoint of being able to understand what they need either for income or protection.
And the last question about them, being a firm believer of such a thing as there's no free lunch, if I'm not having to participate when the market drops, who does? Somebody's got to be taking the hit someplace, don't they?
Well, really, I think that's why they're setting them as timelines, right? So even myself personally, I have a couple of growth annuities. They're set for 10 years. So that money can be invested in some other underlying funds while the institutions know that they have your, initial deposit of funds on, really on their side as well in the time while you're in deferral and not using the funds from that account. So I think that's a give or take. You have to give up some limited liquidity to have some protection and safety. So it's just kind of taking a look at what does your overall picture look like? What are our goals? And how much income do we need today, tomorrow? Or are we just reducing market risk? And are we, looking to make sure that foundational of comfort and peace of mind for a lot of retirees.
All right, let's move on to something else. Financial planning, when we look at planning for retirement, to some degree early on, it's a guessing game because you don't know exactly what the economy is going to look like at the time of retirement. How do you adjust within a financial plan for situations we're in now, for example, with gas prices hovering around $5 a gallon, grocery prices went up, everything's gone up. How do you adjust for that in a financial plan?
So what we take a look at, great question. So we're kind of in front of our clients either with education, news, market updates, at least a couple of times a month. Nolan just did another update on the market this morning. But we're very frequently meeting with our clients. They have their own interactive login to what's called our Retirement Focus. And with that, we continue to adjust their expenses or their budget of what's changed, whether it is at the grocery store or at the gas station. Those are two big things right now, especially as folks usually travel a little bit more in the summer, have plans. So we really take a look at, do we need to adjust where they're currently spending? Do they have funds that are enough in their bank account that we can start utilizing some of that funding for this period of time of what we might have had set up for a buffer? Or are we going to increase maybe some withdrawals from their investments for their timeline? And are they still looking okay? Do they have enough funds that they're not going to run out of money? Allocation adjustments too, right? We might be then pulling some funds from an investable account that the client hasn't had needed to be liquid. So are we looking at just the growth there and keeping in mind taxes and where we're wanting to draw from particular accounts, and is it going to create another taxable event? So we really like to look at it from several different lens options of what's going to happen next. Does it really impact? Most of our clients, it feels like it's an impact, but they usually have another piece of their puzzle in their financial plan that we just redirect and help them to diversify and pull some funds that we then create as income just to adjust what they're utilizing and spending on a monthly basis.
So what I hear you saying is it's not simply, here's your financial plan, have a nice life, goodbye.
Absolutely not.
It's continuous, isn't it?
It's very continuous. We work very closely with our client families and neighbors to continue to adjust. That's one thing with life is there's definitely change, and there's change frequently. So we're here to help walk through those steps, make the adjustments, so no one has to do it alone.
All right, take a break here. We'll be back. We're talking to Mindy McIntosh from McIntosh & Associates. More on that ahead after these notes.
Support doesn't always look like a
And we're back with you on the Art Lewis Show. We're talking to Mindy McIntosh along with her husband Nolan. You can hear them on Wealth Michigan Sundays at noon here on WSGW. Mindy, let me ask this. I know when I come to you for a financial plan for retirement, we sit down, we look at all the numbers, what's my plans, what's the future like, so forth, so on. But there may come a day where I can't make those decisions. How important is medical power of attorney and financial power of attorney to all of this planning?
You know, extremely. It's part of our, in our focus process, the S at the end stands for strategic legacy planning. So we are taking a look at what do you have on file for especially that durable medical power of attorney, as well as beneficiaries, the estate, will trust. Reason why it's so important, too, is sometimes it's even on the healthcare wing of someone that we're helping with financials and healthcare piece, and now they're looking to need some additional support, or we're looking at how are we really engaging with the client's family to help especially make some decisions for long-term care or assisted living. That's where we see that a lot. Outside of someone making decisions, you know, with their investment portfolio. So it's really important, if you don't already have durable and medical power of attorney, that, you know, we can talk about why that's so important. In addition to, you know, it's not always if, it's when we might need some help. So we really like to try to have the children involved somewhat of just even from the connection standpoint to their parents, especially as we all get more years, I call it more years young. As we get more years young, it is great to have that family support and just kind of know when those dynamics need to kick in, and then we're here to help them walk alongside, making sure they make those appropriate decisions, not that, they do something and then didn't realize maybe a phone call that they took or some other updates, and just to create that clarification and clarity for them.
More years young, huh? Well,
more years young.
I'm 83. My mind
so you're
well, but wait, my mind tells me I'm 50. My body tells me my mind's a liar.
So that's the more years young, right? Your
Yeah.
mind just says, hey, I'm going backwards in this, and your body's just having trouble keeping up.
Yep. You got that right. Let's talk about first-time customers, first-time clients who want to maybe utilize the services of McIntosh and Associates. What's the procedure? What's the protocol to end up with a financial plan?
So a lot of times we have people come in initially for a consult visit. We call this their focus visit, and it's really a getting to know you. So we spend about 50 minutes discussing and looking over documents too. So if someone schedules a visit either at our focuswealthplan.com, if they walk into the office, if they want to read, let's say our firm brochure or one of our resource papers first about maybe it's a risk analysis or an income stress test. So we can look at a written income plan or retirement tax bill reports. So that first is just really taking a look at where they're at today, what questions they might have, or how we uncover and unfold that for them with their story. And then we'll take a look at any documents, right? It could be bank savings, healthcare, tax returns, investment statements, properties, and we start building out what's called their focus blueprint. And inside of that blueprint, when they come back then for a second visit, we kind of uncover and show where they're at today, things that we discussed about moving forward, adjustments that can happen, and how we can walk alongside them. So it's a couple visit process to really come in and take a look at where they're currently at, where we're looking to move into. Then they have access to kind of a shared document screening that they can utilize. And with that, then we continue to start monitoring, visiting with them, making adjustments, client events, educational series, and, it just continues to move forward and evolve from there.
One of the things when you go to your website, hang around that website any length of time, is a little thing that pops up that says, wait before you go, the big, beautiful bill. Was it beautiful or not?
So, the one big, beautiful bill, so many pages in that tax bill. When we take a look currently, in our opinion, taxes are not going to go lower. Some of the tax laws we continue to see written in pencil. We take a look at, people were not designed to be on Social Security and the longevity that we have now, yourself included, Art, right? So we have to take a look at what's going to change in transition there. So it really talks about your written retirement tax bill, what you're paying to Medicare, what are our mandatory taxes, and how will that continue to influence even within IRA and pre-tax distributions as well.
Here's my my view of that. I waited till I was 70 to take, so I maximized my Social Security. I believe, and I don't know how true it is, but I believe that, I do believe there needs to be a revision of Social Security. It needs to be more reflective of what the actuarial table is today and all of that, and how many people are now contributing versus how many are taking. But I do not believe, no matter what change is made, it will have any impact on those currently taking Social Security. Too big a voting block.
Sure.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think we're going to have to look at moving forward, not current line situation when we take a look at where funding's coming from. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see soon some other additional taxes that we're seeing to continue to help fund this whole wheelhouse of Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true too. And of course, I'm in a position because I'm still working. On the one hand, every check I'm paying for Social Security, and on the other hand, I'm taking it out. So can't win.
You are.
Can you hang on for one more segment?
Sure.
Good. All right, I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Mindy McIntosh with us from McIntosh and Associates. Let me take a moment to talk about one of the more unfriendly things about driving in Michigan, and that's potholes. They are everywhere. And if you hit enough of them, you can damage your alignment, your tires, your wheels, your suspension. And our friends at Quick Lane Freeland are offering you a complimentary alignment check. That's right. You can drive in and just ask them to check your alignment. They'll be happy to do it for you for free. And if they find anything, they'll tell you what it is and what kind of work they would recommend you have done to alleviate the problem. And if you're wondering how important alignment is, I've asked John from Quick Lane Freeland to give us just a few seconds about it.
If your vehicle's wheels are aligned correctly, it will not pull to the left or to the right when driving. It also prevents improper tread wear, so your tires last longer. A wheel alignment should be checked often because normal steering wear and tear can cause your alignment to go out in addition to potholes and railroad crossings. A correct alignment also reduces rolling resistance on your tires for better fuel mileage.
And, of course, making your vehicle safer. And, by the way, if you need tires, Quick Lane Freeland sells all their new tires at just $5 over cost. Stop in today, Quick Lane Freeland. It's part of the McDonald Ford property in Freeland. McDonald Ford, Quick Lane Freeland. Two names standing ready to help you with all your automotive needs in 2026.
You never thought.
All right, we're back with you, chatting with Mindy McIntosh from McIntosh and Associates in Freeland. We'll tell you about contacting them and all of that good stuff. And you can also hear Mindy and her husband Nolan weekends, Sundays at noon here on WSGW. They have a program called Wealth Michigan. So, Mindy, I want to go back to something we started to talk about earlier, and that's that new customer coming in, that new client, and what they have to go through to get a financial plan. Roughly how long does that take from the time I sit down with you and say, okay, I'm interested, until you hand me a plan? How long does that take?
Usually folks will come in for their initial focus visit. From there, we see them within the next 10 days or so. At that point in time, we walk through really what that analysis looks like. How have we helped them maybe create some additional insight? It could be us, talking about Social Security. It could be about asset class diversification, tax strategies, really inflation protection. It just depends. From there, we'll roll probably about another week later into implementing or helping that neighbor on board as a client family of ours. And then we evolve from there of, whether we're looking at optimization, bringing in future legacy planning or tax-free planning to heirs, setting up, let's say, healthcare. So it doesn't take long. I'm going to say maybe 3 to 4 weeks if someone needed to do something relatively soon to onboard as a client family. But some of the process that we're going through within their retirement blueprint, it might take 3 to 6 months for their plan so that you don't do everything all at once, and it continues to evolve and update. Some things we do more near the end of the year when we're looking at their planning standpoint from there.
And once that plan is laid out on paper, who moves the money around? Do they have to, for example, if in that plan there are a number of investment opportunities, they have to do those individually, or do they go through you to do that?
We help make all those transactions, all the updates. We continue to notify our clients, but they don't have to do any paperwork, any adjustments, no plan selections. We take the guesswork and that legwork out for our client families and do all those steps along the way.
And I know I've asked this before, but I always think it's an important question. Explain what a fiduciary is.
Nice thing about a fiduciary is we're really looking, I would say that we receive this question almost daily. And really when people are looking up things online, they want to make sure that they're incorporating a fiduciary message that's simple. And really when we take a look at that, we need to make sure we're putting all of our clients, I call them neighbors or families first. So as a fiduciary advisory office, we're responsible to act in the best interest for our client families, not just in products or services that we have to offer. This way, it really provides all the folks that we serve with clarity and transparency. So it's advice they can trust. We're local, we live here, we work here, and we really believe that the fiduciary approach really helps families make decisions on what's best for their own goals and retirement income as well.
Do you still do seminars?
We sure do. Yeah, we do educational events here in our event studio. We also have them. We have one coming up at Delta College, so we do sometimes inside and outside of the office as well. So it just depends on if they're looking at market updates, income planning. We just did a Plan Well, Retire Well. We have a Medicare Pitfalls coming up here, actually June 2nd in our event studio. So there's many things that are on our website, or you can contact us here for a variety of educational events coming up that could be helpful to you.
Well, let us tell everybody where you're located.
So we are located in Freeland. We are actually at 8282 Midland Road. So we're right on M47. You could stop by the office here. You'll see a big focus on our building. So you can stop by our event studios here as well. You can reach out to us at 989-692-2200, or you can go to our focuswealthplan.com and take a look on the web for any resources and other upcoming items.
And, of course, you can listen to you Sundays at noon here on WSGW. Mindy,
sure.
Thanks for being with us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Always
Thanks
fun.
for having me, Art. Have a fabulous week.
You too. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye
Thanks.
now.
Bye.
Bye. Mindy McIntosh from McIntosh & Associates. We thank her for joining us today. We'll take our last break. Tell you what's ahead next hour.
Summer is on its way.
All right, that'll do it for this first hour. We thank Mindy McIntosh for spending time with us this morning. Coming up next hour, we're going to be chatting with Tony Stamas from the Midland Business Alliance. A lot going on out there, and we'll chat with him about all of that. That all happens after the news, though. Coming up from CBS, the national and international report to bring you up to date on the world. Michael Purchase in the WSGW newsroom. He'll fill you in on the region and the state, so you will be totally informed. Stick around. We'll talk to you right after the news here on WSGW. I'm Art Lewis, and we thank you for being with us today.
Broadcasting from the